Hi, hello, welcome to Java Talkies. Today we are going to discuss Spring WebFlux and Reactor. So, what is Spring WebFlux and why should we use Spring WebFlux? So, before going to discuss about why should we use Spring WebFlux, we will discuss what is Spring WebFlux. Spring WebFlux is the alternative to Spring MVC module. Spring WebFlux is used to create fully asynchronous and non-blocking application. The Spring WebFlux runs on Netty, Undertow, and servlet containers. And the default server is Netty, which uses event loop model. The previous Spring MVC uses thread per request model. The default server is Tomcat. So the Tomcat uses thread per request model. So here the main advantage of the Spring WebFlux is asynchronous. So it will work asynchronously, non-blocking application. And so the Spring WebFlux uses Netty, right? So the Netty, the model, so which is uses a model that is called event loop model. The event loop model work on asynchronous process. The previously it is the Spring MVC uses thread per request model, so it is not a asynchronous, so and non-blocking. Okay, so we will discuss about why should we use Spring WebFlux. Here we can see diagram. So it is a synchronous. So the Spring MVC before from frameworks. So here the any request coming to server, so each request once hit the server, the servlet container create a thread. It will process the whole request and giving back to the requester. So it is unblocked, right? So it is blocked. So here once request coming to the server, the thread is blocked. So we can't use the thread to any other request. So until the request is closed, then only the thread will release, then only the thread will assign to the another request. Here, if we there are multiple requests coming to the server, so huge number of traffic coming to the server, in that case, the server will go slow because the threads are almost all are occupied, right, for the previous request. So until release those threads, then the new request will not process. So due to this, the if if any application have huge number of requests, then the server will go slow and it is block the application. It block the request. So in order to overcome this synchronous and blocking model, so the Spring WebFlux came to picture. So that is called event loop model. Event loop model. The event loop model works like asynchronous and non-blocking. Here we can see a diagram. So here any request coming to the server, the request assigned to the thread pool with event handler and callback. So once event handler take the request assigned to the small number of threads. So each request assigned to the small number of threads. So each thread will process their work asynchronously. For example, so if we want to get the data from third-party API. After that, we need a data from the DB. After that, we need to send a email. So all the things will work asynchronously. So if you want to get a list of 100 employees, so that will process asynchronously. So one thread, one small thread assigned to the to pull the one record. So another small thread will assign to the take the one more record. So in that case, the server requested to the uh, data. So the threads will process asynchronously with non-blocking. So once event handler process the request, the callback sent to the requester, hey, your data is completed. Please pull it. So like that it will work. So in that case, once a request assigned to the event handler, that event handler assigned to the thread number of small threads, the event handler will will release that event handler assigned to the next request. So the first request will process at background. The event handler will assign to the new request. It will process a new request. In that case, there is no delay or loading issue like in the previous session in this diagram. So the loading issue is there, right? So due to threads allocation, here we will not see any like that issues. That's why, so it will work like asynchronous. It will not block the any request. So this is called web, the, in this process it will work like asynchronous and non-blocking. So the WebFlux will use this model, event loop model internally. Okay. The next slide, what is Spring Project Reactor? The Spring WebFlux will use or work on Project Reactor. The Project Reactor is a Reactor library, and it is the implementation of reactive streams specification. So we will discuss this reactive stream specification in coming sessions. And the project reactor have two types. One is mono, another is flux. You can see in the name itself, mono means 0 to 1. So it will return or process only 0, either 0 or 1. Coming to flux, it will it is a asynchronous sequence of 0 to n items, means nothing but list of items, but here only one object for mono. Coming to flux, the list of objects it will process. Okay, if we see project reactor, here, so we can see the main site of the project reactor is projectreactor.io. We can see the documentation of the project reactor here. So as we discussed, the project reactor have two typed sequences. One is flux and one more is mono. The mono is have only 0 or 1. Coming to flux, it have process n request in n number of requests. The project reactor have reactive core. It is fully non-blocking. It is fully non-blocking and provides efficient demand management. It directly interacts with Java functional APIs and compatible features, streams, durations. So we will discuss about these functional Java APIs, compatible features, streams in upcoming videos. You can see in the documentation. So it have a reactor core, reactor test, reactor extra. So these are the libraries uh, the project Reactor have. So it will provide number of functional libraries like RabbitMQ, Kotlin, Kafka, adapter, test. So we will in the upcoming session we will discuss all about these things Reactor. So here, as we discuss, so in the next section we will discuss about mono and flux. Thank you, thank you for watching. Please subscribe and share. Thank you.